My name is Jessica Warren. I'm 32 years old, and I'm about to tell you the story of how my parents stole my future to pay for my sister's wedding, and what happened when I finally made them pay for it. I was 22 years old when I opened my first savings account. It was at a small credit union on the corner of Oak and Main. The building was old, the carpet was worn, the tellers knew everyone by name. It was the kind of place where trust still meant something. I had been saving for 4 years. I had worked 2 jobs through college. I worked at a diner from 6 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon. I worked at a bookstore from 4 until 10 at night. I studied in between. I slept 4 hours a night. I ate peanut butter sandwiches and ramen noodles. I didn't buy new clothes. I didn't go out with friends. I didn't take vacations. I saved everything. I had $47,000 in that account. It was supposed to be my future, my down payment on a house, my escape from the life I had been given, my ticket to something better. My sister Amanda was 4 years older than me. She had always been the favorite. She had always been the one who got everything: new clothes, new cars, new opportunities. I had always been the one who had to work for everything. When I was 16, my parents bought Amanda a car. A brand new car. They said she needed it for work. She didn't have a job. I had been working at the diner for a year. I took the bus. When I asked why I couldn't have a car too, my mother said, "Jessica, you're more practical. You'll figure it out. Amanda needs more support." That was the line I would hear for the rest of my life. "You'll figure it out. You always do." It was the line that meant I didn't matter. I didn't deserve help. I didn't deserve attention. I didn't deserve anything. But I had my savings. I had my $47,000. I had my future, and no one was going to take that from me. Amanda got engaged in the spring. She was 26. Her fiancé, Derek, was a real estate agent who sold expensive houses to people who didn't need them. He had expensive taste. He wore expensive suits. He drove an expensive car. He also had a lot of debt. But my parents didn't care about that. They cared about the wedding. They cared about the image. They cared about what the neighbors would think. Amanda wanted a big wedding, a very big wedding. She wanted a venue that cost $25,000. She wanted a dress that cost $8,000. She wanted flowers that cost $5,000. She wanted everything, and she expected my parents to pay for it. My parents didn't have the money. My father was a teacher. My mother was a receptionist. They had savings, but they had already given so much to Amanda. They had paid for her college. They had paid for her car. They had paid for her apartment. They couldn't afford a $50,000 wedding. So they came to me. It was a Sunday afternoon. I was at my parents' house for dinner. My mother had made roast chicken. My father had opened a bottle of wine. Amanda was there. Derek was there. It felt like a celebration, but it wasn't. After dinner, my mother asked me to stay. She said she needed to talk to me about something. I followed her into the kitchen. She closed the door. "Jessica," she said, "we need to talk about your savings." I said, "What about my savings?" She said, "Amanda is getting married. She needs a beautiful wedding. She deserves a beautiful wedding. Derek is a wonderful man. He deserves to have a wonderful wedding. We want to give that to them, but we need your help." I said, "What kind of help?" She said, "We need your savings. The money you've been putting away. We need it for Amanda's wedding. She needs a down payment on the venue. She needs to pay for the flowers. She needs to pay for the photographer. She needs everything. And we don't have enough. But you do." I felt the world stop. I said, "Mom, that money is for my future. It's for a house. It's for everything I've been working for. I've been saving for 4 years. I've been working 2 jobs. I've been sacrificing everything. That money is mine." She said, "Jessica, you're young. You have plenty of time to save. You can always work more. You can always make more money. Amanda only gets one wedding, She only gets one chance to have a beautiful wedding. You can help her. You should help her." I said, "Mom, no, I can't. I won't. That money is all I have. It's my future. I can't give it away." She said, "Jessica, you're being selfish. You always were selfish. You always thought about yourself first. You never thought about anyone else. You never thought about the family. Amanda needs you. We need you. You need to do this for us." My father walked in. He said, "Jessica, your mother is right. You need to help your sister. She's family. This is what family does. You help each other. You don't hold on to things when someone else needs them more." I said, "Dad, I've been working 2 jobs. I've been saving for 4 years. I haven't bought new clothes. I haven't gone on vacation. I haven't done anything. That money is everything I have. I can't give it up." My mother said, "Jessica, you're not giving it up. You're sharing it. You're helping your sister. It's not like you're losing it forever. You'll make more money. You'll be fine. You always are." I said, "Mom, no, I'm not fine. I'm barely surviving. I'm working 2 jobs and I'm exhausted. I need that money. I need it for my future. I can't give it away. I won't." My mother said, "Fine, then don't call us again. We don't need you. We'll figure it out ourselves. We always do." I walked out of the kitchen. I walked out of the house. I didn't say goodbye. I didn't look back. 2 weeks later, I checked my bank account. I had a habit of checking it every Monday. It was the only way I could feel safe. I logged into my account. I looked at the balance. It was $0. I stared at the screen. I refreshed the page. I looked again. $0. My heart started pounding. My hands started shaking. I called the bank. I asked to speak to a manager. The manager came on the line. I said, "My account is empty. There's $0 in it. There should be $47,000. Where did it go?" The manager said, "I'm looking at your account now. There was a withdrawal 3 days ago. It was signed by you." I said, "I didn't sign anything. I didn't withdraw anything. That's not my signature." The manager was silent for a moment. She said, "Ms. Warren, I'm looking at the signature on the withdrawal slip. It matches the one on file. It was approved by the teller. It was processed. The funds were withdrawn." I said, "I didn't withdraw the funds. I didn't sign anything. Someone forged my signature. Someone took my money." The manager said, "Miss Warren, I'm going to need you to come to the bank. We need to file a report. We need to document this. Please come as soon as possible." I went to the bank. I met with the manager. I described what had happened. I told her about the conversation with my mother. I told her about the wedding. I told her about everything. The manager said, "Miss Warren, I'm going to be honest with you. This happens more often than you'd think. Family members, parents, siblings. They take advantage of trust. They forge signatures. They steal from the people who love them. I've seen it many times. And I'm sorry it's happening to you." She pulled out the withdrawal slip. I looked at it. The signature looked like mine, but it wasn't. The W was too round. The J was too straight. It was close, but it wasn't me. I said, "That's not my signature. I didn't sign that." The manager said, "I believe you. I will file a fraud report. I will document everything. I will give you copies of everything. You're going to need it." She gave me the file. It was thin. It had the withdrawal slip. It had a copy of the signature on file. It had a report of the transaction. It had everything I needed to prove what had happened. I took the file. I walked out of the bank. I sat in my car. I cried for 20 minutes. I had lost everything. Everything I had worked for. Everything I had sacrificed. Everything I had dreamed about. It was all gone. I drove to my parents' house. I was shaking. I was angry. I was devastated. I walked up to the front door. I didn't knock. I walked inside. My mother was in the kitchen. She was making dinner. "Mom," I said, "you took my money. You stole $47,000 from me." She said, "Jessica, you said I could have it. You said you would help your sister." I said, "I didn't say that. I never said that. I said no. I said I couldn't give it up. And you took it anyway. You forged my signature. You stole from me." She said, "Jessica, you're being dramatic. It's just money. You'll make more. You always do. Amanda needed it more. She needed the wedding. You didn't need the money. You'll be fine. You always are." I said, "Mom, I had $47,000. I was going to buy a house. I was going to start my life. I was going to escape. Now I have nothing. And you don't care. You never cared. You never cared about me. You only cared about Amanda. You always have." She said, "Jessica, that's not true. I love you. I just love your sister more." I didn't talk to my parents for 5 years. I didn't call them. I didn't visit them. I didn't send them cards. I didn't go to Amanda's wedding. I didn't go to any family events. I disappeared. I focused on my career. I worked harder than I ever had. I got a job at a tech company. I worked my way up. I started a side business. I saved again. I started over. I built my life from nothing, again. It was harder the second time. It was lonelier. It was more exhausting. But I did it. I did it because I had no other choice. I didn't tell anyone what had happened. I was ashamed. I was embarrassed. I was angry. I didn't want anyone to know that my mother had stolen from me. I didn't want anyone to know that my family had betrayed me. I kept it to myself. 5 years later, I got a call from my sister. I didn't recognize the number. I almost didn't answer. But something told me to pick up. "Jessica," she said, "it's Amanda. Derek and I are getting divorced. It's over. It's been over for a long time. He was cheating on me. He was spending all our money. He was lying to me about everything. I'm leaving him. I'm starting over." I said, "I'm sorry to hear that." She said, "Jessica, I need your help. I need to hire a lawyer. I need to pay for the divorce. I need money. I don't have any money. Derek took everything. I have nothing." I said, "Amanda, I don't have money to give you. I've been saving, I've been working, but I don't have the money to give you." She said, "Jessica, you have to help me. You're my sister. I'm your family. You have to help me." I said, "Amanda, you're not my family. You haven't been my family for 5 years. You took everything from me. You took my savings. You took my future. You took everything I had worked for. And you didn't care. You just took it and pretended it was nothing. I don't owe you anything." She said, "Jessica, that was 5 years ago. I was young. I was selfish. I'm different now. I've changed. I've grown. I need you. Please help me." I said, "Amanda, you haven't changed. You're still the same person who took everything from me. You're still the same person who thought she deserved everything. You're still the same person who never thought about anyone else. I can't help you. I won't help you." She said, "Jessica, you're being cruel. You're being heartless. You're turning your back on your own sister. You're going to regret this. You're going to regret it when you're old and alone and no one loves you." I said, "Amanda, I've already been alone. I've already been abandoned. I've already been hurt by the people who were supposed to love me. I survived. I built my own life. And I'm not going to let anyone take it from me again." She hung up. I didn't call her back. 2 weeks later, my parents showed up at my door. I didn't know they were coming. They just appeared. "Jessica," my mother said, "we need to talk." I said, "I don't want to talk. I don't want to see you. You stole from me. You lied to me. You betrayed me. You're not my family anymore." She said, "Jessica, you need to get over it. It was years ago. It was in the past. We've all moved on. You need to move on too." I said, "I have moved on. I've moved on from you. I've moved on from Amanda. I've moved on from all of you. I've built my own life. I've built my own family. I don't need you." My father spoke. He said, "Jessica, your sister is going through a hard time. She's losing everything. She needs support. She needs help. We need you to help her." I said, "Dad, she took everything from me. She took $47,000. She took my future. She took everything I had worked for. And she didn't care. She just took it. And now you're asking me to help her? After everything she did? After everything you did? I can't. I won't." My mother said, "Jessica, you're being selfish. You always were selfish. You always put yourself first. You never thought about anyone else. You never thought about the family. You need to help your sister. That's what family does. You need to put her first." I opened my desk drawer. I pulled out the file from the bank, the file with the withdrawal slip, the file with the signature, the file with the proof. I said, "Mom, I want you to look at something." I opened the file. I pulled out the withdrawal slip. I held it up. "This is my signature. This is the signature you forged. This is the signature you used to steal $47,000 from me. This is the proof of what you did." My mother didn't say anything. She just stared at the slip. I said, "I have the proof. I have all the proof. I could have gone to the police. I could have had you arrested. I could have made you pay for what you did. But I didn't. I chose not to. I chose to walk away. I chose to build my own life. I chose to not become like you." I continued, "But I'm not going to help Amanda. I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to give you anything. You took everything from me. You stole my future. You destroyed my trust. And you don't even think you did anything wrong. Mom, you told me I was selfish. You told me I was dramatic. You told me I didn't think about anyone else. But I spent my whole life thinking about everyone else. I spent my whole life working for everyone else. I spent my whole life giving everything I had to people who didn't care. I'm done. I'm not giving anything else. I'm not helping anyone else. I'm going to live my own life, and I'm not going to feel guilty about it." My parents left. They didn't say goodbye. They didn't apologize. They just left. I thought it was over. I thought I was done with them. I thought I could finally move on. But then the letters started. Angry letters. Accusatory letters. Letters blaming me for everything that had gone wrong. Amanda sent them. My mother sent them. My father sent them. Then the phone calls started. They would call me at work, at home, at all hours. They would leave voicemails, angry voicemails, accusatory voicemails. They told me I was a terrible person. They told me I was ruining their lives. They told me I was destroying the family. I changed my number. I moved. I changed my life. But they always found me. It was like they had a sixth sense. It was like they would never stop. Then, a few years later, I got a call from a private investigator. I didn't know who he was. He said he was investigating a fraud case. He was looking into my parents. He needed to talk to me. I met with him. He showed me a file. It was thick. It was full of documents. It was full of evidence. He said, "Miss Warren, your parents have been involved in a number of fraud cases. They stole from you. They stole from your sister. They stole from other people. They've been doing it for years. They've been hiding it. But we've been tracking them. We've built a case against them. We have the evidence." I said, "Why are you telling me this?" He said, "Because the case is going to court, and I need you to testify. You need to tell your story. You need to show them what they did to you. You need to help us stop them." I said, "I'll do it. I'll do whatever it takes." The trial was long. It took 3 weeks. My parents were charged with fraud. They were charged with forgery. They were charged with theft. The case was strong. The evidence was clear. The witnesses were credible. I testified. I told my story. I talked about the savings account. I talked about the $47,000. I talked about the forgery. I talked about the betrayal. I talked about everything. My mother was in the courtroom. She was crying. She was shaking. She looked so small. But I didn't feel sorry for her. I felt angry. I felt betrayed. I felt hurt. The jury deliberated. They came back with a verdict. Guilty on all counts. The judge gave them 5 years of probation, 300 hours of community service, full restitution to me, full restitution to Amanda. My parents were devastated. They couldn't believe it. They thought they would get away with it. They thought they were above the law. They were wrong. The restitution was paid. The money was returned to me. $47,000, plus interest. It was more than I had originally lost. It was enough to buy a house. It was enough to start my life. I used the money to buy a small house in the suburbs. It was modest. It was simple. But it was mine. It was everything I had ever wanted. I didn't tell my parents where I lived. I didn't call them. I didn't send them a card. I moved on. I started over. I created a life for myself, a life without them. I never saw my parents again. I never saw my sister again. I cut off all contact. I blocked their numbers. I blocked their emails. I blocked them from my life. I don't hate them. I don't love them. I feel nothing. I feel nothing because they don't deserve my feelings. They don't deserve my anger. They don't deserve my sadness. They don't deserve anything. My name is Jessica Warren. I'm 32 years old. I built a life from nothing. I built it with my own hands. I built it on my own terms. If you've ever had someone steal your future and call it love, I want you to hear something. You are not selfish. You are not dramatic. You are not the problem. The problem is the people who took from you. The problem is the people who hurt you. The problem is the people who didn't care. You deserve better. You deserve to have your own life. You deserve to have your own dreams. You deserve to have your own future. My name is Jessica Warren. I'm 32 years old. I built a life from nothing, and I'm never letting anyone take it from me again. If this story made you feel something, drop a comment below. Tell me the word that describes what you feel. Share this video with someone who needs to hear they're not alone. Subscribe for more stories like this. Thank you for listening to mine.